Hey, what's up to all my Luscious fans? Steve Alicious here, and if you've been here long enough, you know what this one is. You've seen enough spec videos. You all know the specs and the capabilities, all the rest of it. You've seen the design. This one's the pep talk review. This one is the what's keeping you from buying it review, because it is excellent, and we're going to talk about it. This phone has recaptured that feeling that I thought would almost be impossible to recapture on a non-foldable device. So when I started using the Flip 3, when I started using the Fold 2, I said, geez, it's a high bar to come up with something that's going to make it interesting to use again. And the S22 Ultra certainly has done that. Where the S21 Ultra did not. I did not find that device. I liked it. Like I've said before, I could recognize it as the best Android device out there, but it just wasn't something that you ran to put your SIM back into every time it was out of there. It wasn't one that you just picked up off the table again and again and again, thinking, geez, I can't wait to do things on this device. And this one, after 3 weeks, does have that feeling. I have my Flip 3, you can see it in the background there. I have my Flip 3 charging because I want to try One UI 4.1 on it. And I'm regretting, I'm like, kind of like, oh, I love my Flip 3. And I'm like, I just don't want to pull my SIM out of this because it's such a smooth experience. It's such a good experience that it does everything super. It's just a fantastic, fantastic device. The build, all the rest of it, the S Pen, I'm loving using that again. Just the way One UI 4.0 runs on it, really good. So what's holding you back? You've seen all the videos. You know what it's got. You've seen it. You've gone to the store. Maybe you're sitting there in Best Buy and staring at it. What has kept you from going ahead and pulling that credit card out or throwing it on your monthly bill? Let's talk about some of the things. Well, let me know in the comment section, number one, what your individual questions may be. We're plenty active there. And if you've been here before and you've been loving the videos, go ahead and tussle that subscribe button. It certainly helps out. I appreciate it. So, here's the main ones that I've seen. Battery life. And this is one that I had major issues on. I've done a few videos on it. Not necessarily, well, complaining. Yeah, ranting. Okay. It's gotten a little bit better. It's not the experience that a lot of people are having. It's not 7 or 8 hours, but I can get easily 6-ish over 6. And it really depends on what you're doing, which is going to be specific to everybody. I think it comes down to, are you a big 5G user? Are you in a 5G area? Are you in a kind of border area where the signal is fighting back and forth to try to change from 5G to 4G LTE, which does chew up battery? There's a few different things in there working in there. And checking your Google apps, or you Galaxy wearable, or if you somebody wears a smartwatch and has it connected, that chews up some battery. And if you're not somebody who runs it at max, which is plenty of people are perfectly fine running it at either Quad HD or 1080p, meaning 1080p, stepping it down a little bit, and running it at 60 hertz. If you're one of those people at 50% brightness, you're going to get the 7 or 8 hours that a lot of people are getting on this, probably more. I will say, at max settings, it is doing a better job initially than the S21 Ultra was doing, which to me was a poor battery life from the start. Absolutely just not good. The S21 Ultra off the start, with that kind of big battery, you thought was going to be a heck of a lot better than it was, and it just wasn't. It was like 4.5, 5 hours of screen on time. If I got 5.5 when the device first came out, I felt lucky. This, 5.5, 5.5 out of the box, now stretching over 6. So I think for a lot of people, for most people, that's going to get you through the day. Would I love to see more with updates? Would I love to see it get a heck of a lot better? Yeah, absolutely. But I'm not somebody that's going to run it at 60 hertz 1080p because I paid max money. I got the max device, Ultra device, to run it at those settings. Now, I don't want to run it as Flossie would say at peasant settings. I want to run it at the full blast settings where you're burning your retinas off just to be able to look at the display. A lot of people were worried about overheating. I personally wouldn't worry about that unless you're doing some very intensive stuff. It felt warm to the touch one time in 3 weeks. I don't know what I was doing. There was an app that was misbehaving and kind of running away. As soon as I shut it, restarted the device, cooled down, no problems with that. So I see a lot of comments about people worried about overheating with this. And Snapdragon in general, until they get rid of them, which I hope is this coming year, I think that they should invest in Exynos, just like Apple invested in their own chip, just like Google's doing with Tensor. It's time to say goodbye to the Snapdragons. They overheat, ruins battery life, ruins efficiency. There's throttling issues because you can see Samsung doing stuff with throttling to save battery, but also heat efficiency. They put the vapor chamber in this thing. They're trying all these things to dissipate heat. Just get rid of the Snapdragon. It's time. But if you're worried about that, being hot to the touch, overheating, over throttling, all the rest of it, not really a major concern. Unless you're doing very intensive things in sunlight, and you want to cook off the back of it for camping or something, I don't know, then maybe that's a strategy for you. I wouldn't worry about it. Go ahead, pick one up, and you'll be fine with overheating. Bunch of people are talking about the haptic engine, because I know MKBHD did that thing where it's a Z-axis haptic instead of a X-Y axis. To me, haptics are two categories, okay? So it's binary at that point. Either it's good enough where I don't notice it and I just use it, or it's horrible. And that's the first edit you're going to see in a Steve Alicious Tech video. Ran out of memory on my computer. Couldn't take me slapping the phone, the electronic. But it's exactly like electronic football, that table game. People from the 70s will know that. We shake it up and down, vibrating, gets the little pieces to move. That's a bad haptic experience. That's when you shut it off. And there's only really been a couple of phones that have met that. I think one was one of those Cricket wireless devices that I talked about, and the other one was the Nokia 5.3. Bad. To where you're typing and it numbs your fingertips because it's bzz, 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 like you're getting zapped. But this one is plenty good. A lot of people complaining about the speakers. Not complaining, just saying it's not quite as good as the S21 Ultra speakers. It's still dual speakers. It's still plenty good. It's still really good. I didn't really notice anything. I'm not an audiophile, all right? I don't really notice a whole heck of a lot with speaker stuff and high-end. I know when it sounds bad, right? I know when it sounds bad. I know when you pump it all the way up and it gets tinny or it gets hollow or it gets buzzy, it starts clipping and stuff. I know when that happens. This is a good, deep, rich sound, and certainly not a reason why you wouldn't get this. If you have an S21 Ultra, you're probably not looking at this anyway, realistically. You're probably not looking to upgrade for another year or two. But if you're somebody coming from a Note 9, somebody coming from a Note 10 Plus, which I love, I'm saying if you're ready to take the dive, if you have a Note 10 Plus, perfectly valid device. Did a whole video on it. You could keep that for another year if you don't want a payment. But if you're looking to upgrade, if you love the latest and greatest, this is it. And if you're looking at this, to me, this is the Android device, once again, here in the United States, even probably the world, when you talk about the software features and Samsung One UI and how well it runs compared to pretty much everything else at this point. And the aesthetic stuff, too. Don't discount that. A lot of people don't like it. Let's ignore a lot of the stuff that happened with the Pixel 6. Let's ignore any of the update issues, the fingerprint, and all that stuff, okay? It's a really good device, regardless of any of that stuff. A lot of people just don't like the choices that they made aesthetically with One UI, with Android 12, with Material U. They think that the buttons are too big, the menus are goofy, they think it's for like a kid's phone. And if you're somebody who believes that, if you're somebody who likes that more, I don't know, I don't want to even call it a traditional Android experience, but this gives you the customizability. You have the always-on displays that you can mess with and put your pictures on, all the rest of it. The menus look better. I think they look better. There's more toggles, there's more settings, there's more stuff that you could fit on the screen at one time without reducing the size of the icons themselves. I think if you're looking at an Android device in 2022, much like in 2021 with the S21 Ultra, if you're looking at an Android device and you're not in the foldable market, and even if you are, because this is a lot closer now. Like I said, I need to put my SIM in the Flip 3 to test it out, and I'm kind of hesitating pulling out of it because it's so good. Wide display like that, really great for content, squared off design, which is the way you want to look at stuff, I believe. Fantastic looking device. The cameras are great. A lot of reasons to love this. If you're on the fence for technical reasons, if you're on the fence for just some of these other reasons that I mentioned, jump in. People make videos on them because they're things to talk about, and they are things to consider. But are they things that should stop you from buying? No. Excellent device. Once again, the apex predator of Android devices, I think, and that's going to carry pretty much through OnePlus 10, not looking that strong this year. And Oxygen OS 12, or whatever they're calling it now, the Color OS integration, not looking that great. One UI, still running strong. And on fantastic hardware, is going to equal the best Android experience you're going to get this year. If you're willing to spend the money, jump in. That's always a factor. All right, I'm not saying what's keeping you from buying it. Well, it's expensive. Yeah, it's expensive. I get that. That's a perfectly valid reason not to pick one up. But if you're in the market for one and you've been hesitant because of X reason and Y reason and this thing and it doesn't have this, get it. You're going to like it a heck of a lot more than a lot of the Android devices that are on the market and that will be on the market to come if it's anything like last year. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Channel memberships are open. Get yourself some emojis. We've got some cute emojis of the cats. What else? BlackBerry emojis. Why not? Until next time, Long Island Watch. Link in the description. Have that Steve Alicious day.